For non-native English speakers, I'm slowing the narration down. From the words of an astrologer with over 50 years experience, the following is to be a long tutorial intro, so that anyone can catch up on any horoscope of the month. I will timestamp the description if you need to skip it. In the West I have seen many people interested in the sun signs, and a few are against them, objecting under different grounds. In India, most people are familiar with the moon sign, although in the West, thousands of astrologers are already familiar with moon signs. Both astrologies, Western and Vedic, known as well as Hindu, Jyotish or sidereal, are deep sciences. Western compiled by Ptolemy around 2,000 years ago, and Vedic compiled by Parasara and others around 5,000 years ago. Western astrology follows planets in the tropical or terrestrial sky, while Vedic astrology does so in the sidereal or celestial sky. The different reference indicates that both astrologies are powerful as long as the rules are followed. Some rules and combinations are written and others are discovered. Some people want to know why in astrology there are only 12 signs, and the answer is that we don't know, but it works. In the English alphabet there are 26 letters, and there are 27 letters in Spanish. Why is this? The general public don't care, but it works. There are 360 degrees in a circle, and there are 365 days in a year. The sun in a year crosses the 12 signs of the zodiac in both the sidereal and the tropical sky. But while the sun signs are more important in Western astrology, the Vedic moon crossing the sidereal signs are more important. Because the speed of the sun is slower and constant than the moon's, it is easier to have dates for the sun signs, while the complicated signs of the moon requires the computer to consider its daily position. Here we have the dates when the sun changes signs and therefore indicates the sun signs in Western astrology. However, we have to consider that these dates are general, as some years the sun changes the day before or after, but the dates given here are general, and this is why we recommend to those born on the cusps of the signs to check for their exact signs. For example, every year we celebrate the summer solstice on the 21st of June, when the sun enters the tropical, meaning terrestrial sign of Cancer. This year, it happened on the 20th of June, 2024, at 8:51 Greenwich Mean Time. As another example, if you were born on the 22nd of March, you are considered to be a native of Aries in Western astrology, and therefore in theory share the characteristics of Aries with every 12th person in the world. Most people think that astrology is about planets, signs, and horoscopes. Many consult their sun signs in newspapers or in magazines that offer the astrological trends for the year, month, or week. Of course, the sun sign trends offered are superficial. For 1 in 12 people, there is a difference that may be even copied over from another year by a random journalist. Vedic astrology, however, has ancient scripture writing the rules, so even vagueness is scrutinized if they dare. Most are familiar with the 12 signs of the zodiac, 9 grahas in Vedic astrology versus 12 planets in Western astrology, where each sign measures 30 degrees for a complete 360. In Western astrology, the horoscopes consider the 12 signs and the 12 planets in circular graphics, and in Vedic astrology, the horoscopes are represented in square graphics, whereby the most used format looks like this. 12 signs representing 12 sectors or houses, while in the second graphic we see the main designations of those 12 houses and their meaning. Some classic books give rules considering from the lagna or ascendant sign or from the moon sign, as both points are valid for reference. For example, they say Mars in the 4th house from the natal ascendant or from the natal moon. For example, according to the question put to the astrologer, a house in particular is observed. When the nature of the question is a job, one studies the house 10, and when the question is about home or education, we focus on the 4th house. So this is the rule to take as reference, and when considering the planetary transits, we apply the same. The reading of the planetary transits is fun and easy. Every astrologer has one style to see them. Remember that from your own sign, there are 12 houses to consider. Comparing these, one has Aries in the 1st house, the other has Virgo in the 1st house. For Aries Lagna, as sun sign or moon sign, Scorpio is the 8th house for the former, but Aries for the latter. When a planet in the calendar is seen moving into Leo, for example, the 5th house will be affected for the former and the 12th house for the latter. In other words, the sun changing signs affects the 12 signs in a different way. Some say that the transits are good or bad according to the houses affected, but that is just a general rule. Other factors like planetary periods must be considered. The reading is very general, but nevertheless, they can give a good idea of the effects of the planets moving around. The faster a planet moves across a sign, the lesser its effects are visible, unlike the clear visibility of either slow or retrograde planets. Of all the planets, the Sun and the Moon never go retrograde. Rahu and Ketu, or the nodes of the Moon, are always moving retrograde, while the rest of the planets alternate between direct movement and retrograde. As a reference, I see the planetary positions every day to have an idea of where they are. It helps to have a monthly calendar to see them as a forecast. In the beginning, one learns about the effects of the planets in signs, either in direct or retrograde motion, and with practice, one learns about their moving in nakshatras, or constellations. The signs are 30 degrees wide, and the nakshatras only 13 degrees, plus 20 degrees of arc each. Later, one learns about the effects of the planetary conjunctions. For practical purposes, we are going to see the chart of America, the one of its independence, 4th of July in 1776, and see how it is affected by the planetary transits. I like to follow this chart for reference, because somehow America is a focus in the world, and we have the data. For some countries, it is difficult to have a trusted horoscope. In the weekly readings of the calendar, we are going to elaborate on some interesting points, and thus we are going to learn about the secrets of astrology as a science. Your feedback is welcome to clarify or improve this series of calendars. Every planet can be good or bad, although from a higher perspective, every planet is helping us to move higher in our spiritual aims. Every planet behaves differently according to the sign and house that it is visiting, whether the sign is odd or even, cardinal, fixed or movable, whether it is a fire sign, earth, air or water, or to do with the house space being either empty, with one natal planet, 2 planets or more. The moon is the fastest graha as it moves into a sign for between 2 or 2.5 days, or it moves in a cycle of about 1 month. Some say that the sun and the moon are not planets, but in Vedic astrology they are considered as grahas or centers of energy. For practical reasons, we call them luminary planets. This Saturday, the 6th of July, the moon will move into Cancer, and some 5 hours later, Venus moves into Cancer. For moon and Venus moving into the same sign the same day, it is very unusual and a good sign, as both planets are magnetic, and the sign of Cancer is also magnetic. Of the 9 conventional planets in Vedic astrology, only Moon and Venus are female. Mars, Jupiter and the Sun are males, Saturn and Mercury are Napumsaka or neutral, and Rahu is a ghost male and Ketu is a ghost female. The moon moves into Cancer. Most people that know their sun or moon sign know as well the regent or ruler of their sign. Cancer is ruled by the magnetic moon, the queen of the nights, which gives intuition, imagination, mature behavior, and caring. Moon in Cancer and your first house. If your natal sign is Cancer, the visit of the moon once a month in this sign triggers the definition of your sign. According to Vedic astrology, you are considered to be a native of Cancer because your moon is in the sidereal sign of Cancer. Your inner personality is indicated by Cancer and the moon, as this planet rules the sign of Cancer. The moon represents the mind, and the mind rules the powers of thought, emotion, and power. These 3 factors are very important to you because your mind is very active and is always reading these tendencies in others. You are very fond of thinking, mostly of past activities that are strongly connected to your emotions. You find that there is a subtle cycle which repeats in your life and causes you to remember past occurrences of a similar makeup. Your keywords are I feel, because often you progress through life based on your feelings, which are very subtle, and you can easily understand the emotion of others. Your willpower is big enough to move mountains, but you have a peculiar way of obtaining what you want. It could be said that you use your mind rather than your body to work out your objectives. You are a strong believer in mind over matter. You are going to have lots of friends due to your sociable nature, but sometimes you are going to prefer solitude. Your sensible approach to life could make you a good advisor. You may have the tendency to collect different objects and memories, and you may enjoy being nostalgic. You may feel the need to have a cave of your own where you can take shelter and rest. This tendency may make you attached to your home or to a particular place, which could give you a sense of security. You are very emotional, sensitive, imaginative, meditative, and protective. Friendly moon signs to you are Leo, but there are no inimical moon signs to you. Your Varna, which is the social class according to your moon sign, is Brahmana, the priestly or intellectual class, attracted to study and to giving advice. Moon signs you should avoid for the start of new enterprises or travels are Sagittarius, Aquarius, and Gemini. If afflicted, you may be accused of being a dreamer. You may suffer ups and downs in life to the point of it seriously affecting your feelings. Also, you may become at risk of being manipulated or exploited by the opposite sex. Moon in Cancer and your second house. You will have the following definition, and when the moon visits your second house, it gives a similar trend. The moon in this position indicates that you are likely to have a large family for the normal standards, and that you may become well-behaved, romantic, glamorous, handsome, attractive, generous, charming, persuasive, and poetic. According to your own initiative and efforts, you are very likely to have a good name and fame. You may be eloquent and agreeable of speech. You may have the opportunity to earn money with the help of the opposite sex, and your financial position may become variable, but enough to maintain a good social position. If afflicted, if you do not take the proper measure, it is likely that you will have breaks in your studies or education due to circumstances which require more attention. Moon in Cancer and your third house. This planetary combination tells that your natal moon or sun sidereal sign in Taurus and the moon visiting your house 3 enhances your communicative powers. Moon in Cancer and your fourth house. Your natal moon sign is Aries, a cardinal sign like Cancer, and therefore having 2 cardinal signs at work enhances the designations of this house, giving stability to your home, mind, and studies. Moon in Cancer and your fifth house. Your moon sign in Pisces, a sign of water like the sign of Cancer, 2 water signs working at the same time, natal and transit, makes you very intuitive and sensitive. Try to take advantage of these energies. Moon in Cancer and your 6th house. When reading the planetary transits, the astrologer follows some rules to achieve a good interpretation. Sometimes it is good to see the planetary positions at the time of a new entry. In this case, it's the moon into Cancer and your 6th house. Your moon sign is in Aquarius, in green, and 11th sign, having Saturn, SA, in transit, and the moon is in Cancer, your 6th house, in yellow and 4th sign, with Mercury, ME. Because the moon is in its own sign of Cancer, it is strong to give positive results and associating Mercury, the ruler of the 8th house. This combination gives you success with unexpected results. Moon in Cancer and your 7th house. For this combination, your natal moon is in Capricorn. Provided that your 7th house is empty, the moon in transit here makes your environment positive. Otherwise, any other planet in 7 could be a friend or enemy of the moon in transit, and thus create some problems, which could be solved in a short time due to the short visit of the moon. Moon in Cancer and your 8th house. Sagittarius is your moon sign, and your planet Jupiter, Ju, the regent of Sagittarius, is today with Uranus, UR, in the 6th house, and the moon, MO, and Mercury, ME, are visiting your 8th house. By having your 6th and 8th houses stimulated by those planets, they give you an intense time in your favor. Moon in Cancer and your 9th house. Your moon sign in Scorpio, in green and 8th sign, features the moon, MO, visiting Cancer, in yellow and 4th sign. Both signs are watery, and therefore a good time for expanding your horizons. Moon associating Mercury, ME, the ruler of your 8th and 11th houses, can bring earnings from unexpected sources. Moon in Cancer and your 10th house. Libra is your moon sign and a cardinal sign. Having two cardinal signs working at once join the energies of the self and your professional life. In other words, this transit is good for work stability. Moon in Cancer and your 11th house. Your moon sign is Virgo in green and 6th sign, while the moon is visiting Cancer in yellow and 4th sign. We can consider only the moon in transit, but we can consider as well the planet running on along the same sign. And this time is Mercury, ME, and in a few hours Venus, VE, enters Cancer. This cluster of 3 planets in Cancer happens to be in your 11th house, the house of Labha, profits and gains. In other words, this combination enhances your social life, coordination with elder friends, and brings some earnings. Moon in Cancer and your 12th house. Your moon sign is Leo in green and 5th sign, while the moon is visiting Cancer in yellow and 4th sign. Technically, the moon MO in transit across the 12th house is not good, as it may bring some losses. And also the moon is associating with Mercury, ME, the ruler of your 2nd and 11th houses, affecting your earnings and bank balance. But Jupiter, JU, in transit across your 10th house nullifies most of the negative trends. Rahu, RA, with Neptune, NE, in transit across your 8th house are good for occult studies or research works. Venus moves into Cancer. Venus is going to visit Cancer for almost 25 days until the 31st of July, when it's going to move into Leo. The magnetic side of Venus blends well with the magnetism of Cancer, and therefore more positive results than bad should be expected. However, the angle or the house of the transit changes the equations. Venus in Cancer and your 1st house. Cancer is your natal moon sign, and Venus is in transit or visiting this sign. In general, Venus crossing the house 1 is positive, and crossing above the natal moon is also positive, as both planets are of female gender and magnetic. When considering all the planets in transit at the same time, we see the Venus, VE, is travelling along Mercury, ME, and the moon, MO. This type of transit is positive. Mars, MA, strong in Aries, is aspecting Cancer, adding energies to fortify your well-being. The Sun in your 12th house may be causing some losses, so it's recommended to wait until the 16th of July when the Sun moves into your moon sign. Venus in Cancer and your 2nd house. Your natal moon is Gemini, and the moon in transit is visiting for a few days. Your house 2, the house of your family and assets. His transit is positive for the designations of the house 2. Look at the other planets in transit. Pluto in your house 9 is likely to be working in a transformation of your belief system, the character of which can be seen by the planets, if any, in Capricorn in your horoscope, or the situation of your natal Saturn, the regent of Capricorn. Venus in Cancer and your 3rd house. Taurus is your moon sign, and Venus is the regent of this sign. The 3rd house is a good angle for the regent of the 1st house to visit, and therefore Venus improves communication and understanding for you and others around you. Technically, we see that in this particular transit of Venus as the Lord Regent of your moon sign is meeting for a few days the ruler of your 3rd house in your 3rd house, and also meets Mercury for 1 day, the ruler of your 2nd and 5th houses, adding positive trends to your present situation. Venus in Cancer and your 4th house. Aries is your moon sign, and Venus visiting your 4th house brings some needed stability to your mind, home, studies, and or mother. Mars, MA, is hovering over your natal moon, and from Aries in green and sign number 1 is casting an aspect to the planets in transit in Cancer, which is in yellow and sign number 4. In Cancer there are 3 planets in transit. When there are more than 2 planets in a sign, things get complicated, but on this occasion for you, there are more positive than negative trends for you in store. Venus in Cancer and your house 5. Pisces is your moon sign, and the 5th house is a good angle. Pisces and Cancer are signs of water. This coordination helps in the development of your projects. When considering the transits of all the planets in regard to your moon sign, we see that Venus is traveling in Cancer along with Mercury and the moon. Because Venus is a lord of your 3rd and 8th house, and is associating a strong moon in its own sign, it indicates a good time for communications and unexpected positive results. Venus in Cancer and your house 6. Aquarius is your moon sign, and the 6th house to some is bad, but as I said before, every house, space or planet can be good or bad, according to karma or to the spiritual advancement that gives different eyes to see things. Nevertheless, Venus is a positive planet. Rule: its good influence could be delayed by the 6th house. When considering the transits of all the planets in regard to your moon sign, the picture is more positive, as Venus is traveling in Cancer along with Mercury and the moon, because Venus is a lord of a corner and angle house, 4th and 9th, and associates Mercury, lord of the 5th and 8th houses. Both planets meet 6th house, strong moon. This combo is good for service, overcome obstacles and enemies. Venus in Cancer and your house 7. Capricorn is your moon sign. Venus in transit across your house 7 is good for your associations, and so indirectly you're benefited, but in some cases it has been seen to turn against one. Looking at the present situation of the other planets, your present situation is complex by having Saturn, SA, still in your house 2, plus having 2 outer planets, Pluto, PL, and Uranus, UR, in Earth signs, Capricorn 10th sign and Taurus 2nd sign. This peculiar combo lesson of the past 5 years or so has to be digested without shortcuts, otherwise you won't be able to move freely as Saturn leaves Aquarius. Venus in Cancer and your house 8. Your moon sign is Sagittarius, sign number 9. Technically, the 8th house is a bad house, like a hole in the horoscope, and therefore more bad than good things are supposed to be seen, but there are some rules that overcome some, if not all, the bad trends. Some say that the lucky stars protect, and others say that the one destined for bad things has to endure them. Nevertheless, from a higher point of view, good and bad are dualities of the plane we are moving, and in the real end, everything is good. Because Venus, VE, is moving in Cancer, sign 4, is opposite to Pluto, PL. Both planets work together, and in the axis of the houses 2 and 8 from your moon sign, you are likely to see unexpected positive results and transformation in your desires. Venus in Cancer and your house 9. Your moon sign in Scorpio in green and number 8. Planets in water signs communicate or help each other very well, and this transit of Venus in Cancer helps your well-being and confidence. In the other signs of water, Pisces, sign number 12, we see Neptune, NE, and Rahu, RA, and those planets are blending their energies to the planets in transit across Cancer, Venus, VE, Moon, MO, and Mercury, ME. Those 5 planets have different characters and functions and blend positively in a watery sign, helping your moon sign of Pisces. Venus is Cancer and your house 10. Libra is your moon sign or house 1, and Libra is the number 7. Because Venus is a positive planet and the regent of your moon sign when in transit over the house 10, or the house of the profession, it gives promotions or good trends at work. When considering all the planets in transit, we get a more complete picture, and we see strong Mars, MA, in your house 7. In the sign of Aries, sign 1. When your moon sign is house 1 and represents yourself, house 7 represents your association and environment. In other words, you are likely to get help or harmony from well-wishers. Venus in Cancer and your house 11. Virgo is your moon sign, and Venus is moving across your house of earnings, indicating likely wins and a good rapport with friends, especially elders. Considering all the planets in transit, we see Ketu, KE, is crossing your moon sign, and that gives a search for yourself, or at least ground you down to earth. The regent of your moon sign is Mercury, ME, traveling along with Venus, VE, across Cancer, sign number 4, where the moon, MO, is going to be for some hours more, enough to trigger positive results for you. Venus in Cancer and your house 12. Leo is your moon sign, and Venus in house 12 may show some bad trends like losses, and therefore the advice is to plan well your moves or investments, as there could be some waste in gambling. Nevertheless, When consulting all the planets, we see the Sun as the regent of your moon sign in House 11, giving you confidence and self-reassurance, but still some caution is recommended. A positive transit is the one of Jupiter, Ju, across your House 10, giving you protection, but traveling with Uranus, some drastic changes are likely to be seen. Introducing the transits affecting the horoscope of the USA. Testing mundane or political astrology. The ascendant sign of the horoscope of independence of the US is Sagittarius, sign number 9, and the moon sign is Aquarius, sign number 11. It is valid to consider the houses as seen from the ascendant sign or from the moon sign, and in that way we see different effects and different trends. In fact, the Prajna Marga, a 1649 book on Vedic astrology, says that when seen from the ascendant sign or the moon sign, the houses 1 to 4 show the present or current life, houses 5 to 8 show the future life, and houses 9 to 12 show the previous life. We are going to explore this rule later on. Technically, the moon sign is the most important to follow the planetary periods and the planetary transits. The rules to read the horoscopes of countries are different to the ones applied to natal horoscopes, but both the order of the houses and the concept is the same. I have chosen the horoscopes of the US because practically it's the easiest available and currently the center of attention in the world, as whatever is happening to America is affecting the world directly or indirectly. Yesterday, on July the 4th, America celebrated its Independence Day of 248 years. Horoscopes are like the palm of the hands, which can be read by palm readers. The palm lines show the past, present, and future when read properly, and the horoscopes showing the planets in the sky above the natal charts show how the planets in transit affect the horoscope below. Notice the diagram's yellow ascendant, that is Sagittarius, sign number 9, and then the green moon, sign of Aquarius, sign 11. Now look at the left transit of Venus in Cancer, affecting the house 8, or Cancer in blue and sign number 4, where the US has Rahu, Ra, and Mercury, Me. From the moon sign, the same transit of Venus is affecting the house or sector 6, which is Cancer, in blue and sign number 4. The transit on house 8 affects death, mortality, and the Privy Council, while in the 6th, it affects the public health, working class, national service, the army, and navy. The Goravani Jyotisha GJ program, one can see a composite chart that shows the natal planets and the planets in transit. Following the arrow in sign 4, meaning Cancer, we see Venus, Ve, with Moon, Mo, and Mercury, Me. Deeper, the natal planets Mercury, Me, and Rahu, Ra, are seen. Then the inner ring shows the 12 houses from 1 to 12, and thus, for example, deeper still, the house 8 is Cancer, sign number 4. We can say that Mercury in transit in Cancer is making a return in the horoscope of America. For the horoscopes of countries, the transits on the houses as seen from the ascendant are more accurate. Let us see in the following days after Saturday the 6th to see how the trends can be seen accordingly. More later, and any questions or feedback will help to improve these calendars.